Oh, how wonderfully our superiors assured us this would go. Just grab one of those primitive bipeds from that blue planet, they said. Study it for a few cycles, then return it none the wiser, they said. These humans are barely smarter than the food they consume, they said. Hey, what a cosmic joke that turned out to be. Our encounter with the human species will go down as the most catastrophic miscalculation in the history of the Galactic Concordat. I'm recording this log as a warning to any future exploratory missions. Do not engage with humans. It all began 3 lunar cycles ago when our scout ships detected unusual radio transmissions from a spiral arm of the Milky Way. The signals seemed primitive by our standard simplistic digital communications, basic satellite networks, and an absurd amount of what they call reality television. Our Science Council determined that the species was pre-warp, technologically immature, and therefore perfect for our standard observation protocols. Vazik, Admiral Prin, called me into her chamber, her 4 eyes blinking in that irritating sequential pattern she does when she's feeling particularly superior. Your research team has been selected for a first-contact biological study. I bowed, my cranial ridges flushing purple with pride. Thank you, Admiral. Which species will we be evaluating? She projected a hologram of a peculiar creature, 2 legs, 2 arms, 1 head with only 2 eyes and a bizarre patch of fur on top. They call themselves humans. They inhabit the 3rd rock from a mediocre yellow star. Nothing special. Standard carbon-based lifeforms. They look squishy, I remarked, circling the hologram. Indeed. Their skeletal structure is internal, completely backwards from an evolutionary standpoint. Prin made that wheezing sound that passes for laughter among her kind. They are also comically weak. No natural armor, no significant speed or strength, dull senses, and their lifespans are pitifully short. Less than a century. Can you imagine? I couldn't. My species routinely lives to see 5 centuries pass. How could anything evolve intelligence in such a brief existence? Your mission is simple, continued Prin, closing the hologram with a flick of her upper right appendage. Extract 1 specimen, preferably from a low population area to avoid notice. Conduct standard biological and psychological evaluation. Then return it with memories wiped. Any specific type of human we should target? I asked. I asked. Our analysts suggest a solitary adult. Avoid their military personnel or scientific community. Perhaps one of their, what do they call them? Ah, yes, hikers or campers. Individuals who deliberately isolate themselves in natural settings. Should make extraction clean and simple. Duration of study? Standard protocol. 14 cycles should suffice. I assembled my research team that very day. There was Nevik, our biology specialist, always so serious with his constant note-taking and muttering. Traz, our security officer, all brawn and minimal brain, convinced that her 15 combat medals made her an expert on everything. And finally young Mila, my protégé, on her first deep space mission and eager to prove herself. This will be simple, I assured them during our briefing. These humans are barely past discovering how to split the atom. They still burn fossil fuels, for stars' sake. Their most advanced computational devices have less processing power than our waste recycling units. Traz flexed her armored exoskeleton. Should we expect resistance? Their entertainment broadcasts show them to be quite violent. I laughed. Actually laughed. How naive that seems now. They are dramatizations, Traz. Fictional scenarios meant to stimulate their primitive brains. Real humans are docile, easily startled creatures who freeze in fear when confronted with the unknown. Our abduction records show most species at this development stage simply comply when faced with superior technology. Still, Nevik interjected, we should follow standard containment protocols. Of course, I waved dismissively. But trust me, this assignment is essentially a vacation. Extract, examine, return. We will be back for the Galactic Summit with time to spare. We arrived in Earth orbit 6 days later, cloaking systems engaged. Their detection technology was so primitive that we could have arrived with sirens blaring and they'd have likely attributed it to atmospheric disturbance or one of their weather balloons. Our scanning revealed a suitable extraction point in what they call Montana, a mountainous region with scattered human habitation, perfect for our needs. We detected a solitary human several kilometers from the nearest settlement, apparently engaged in what humans call fishing. Target acquired, Traz announced, bringing the image up on our main viewer. The human was of average build for their species, with the fur on top of its head colored a light brown. It wore simple coverings in earth tones and was sitting beside a flowing water source, holding a primitive rod and line. Appears male, according to our biological databases, noted Nevik. Adult, approximately 35 local years of age. Perfect, I said. Prepare the extraction beam. Standard paralysis field, level 2 strength. Mila looked concerned. Only level 2. Lead researcher? We don't want to damage the specimen, I explained patiently. Level 2 is sufficient to immobilize any pre-warp species. Remember, these are fragile creatures. The extraction went flawlessly. One moment the human was lazily dangling its line in the water, the next it was floating upward in our azure paralysis beam, its primitive fishing equipment left behind on the riverbank. We had it secured in Containment Chamber 3 within 90 seconds of initial beam contact. That was almost disappointing, Traz grumbled, clearly having hoped for some excuse to use her combat training. Science isn't always exciting, security officer, I reminded her. Nevik, prepare for initial examination once the paralysis field wears off. Mila, set up the psychological assessment protocols. Let's be efficient, people. I approached the observation window to get my first close look at our specimen. The paralysis was already beginning to fade, and the human was showing signs of consciousness. According to protocol, we'd maintained an Earth-normal atmosphere and gravity in the chamber. The human's eyes opened. Blue, I noted. It blinked several times, then with surprising quickness sat upright on the examination platform. Fascinating, I murmured, activating the translation matrix. It's recovering from level 2 paralysis much faster than predicted. The human's gaze darted around the chamber, taking in the featureless white walls, the observation window, though to him it would appear as a simple reflective surface, and the various examination instruments arranged nearby. His breathing rate increased, but interestingly he showed none of the panic responses we'd anticipated. Instead, he stood, stretched, and walked directly to the observation window. He stared for approximately 10 seconds, then spoke. I know you are watching me. Whatever you are. Just so we are clear, this is a seriously bad idea you have got going here. I nearly dropped my data pad. The calm calculation in the human's voice was entirely unexpected. Subject is showing unusual awareness, Nevik noted, seemingly unperturbed. Fascinating adaptive response. I activated the communication system. Human specimen, you have been temporarily relocated for scientific study. You will not be harmed. Cooperate, and you will be returned to your habitat with no memory of these events. The human tilted its head. Then, to my utter shock, it smiled. Name's Tanner. Tanner Reed. Not human specimen. And here's a fun fact about me: I don't cooperate well with kidnappers, regardless of what planet they are from. Traz moved closer to the window. The human appears defiant. Should I enter and establish dominance? That won't be necessary, I replied, though in truth I was unsettled by the humans by Tanner's composure. This is merely bravado, a psychological defense mechanism. But whatever helps you sleep at night, boss, Tanner called out, somehow knowing exactly where our audio receivers were located. By the way, your paralysis beam needs work. I was conscious for most of the trip up here. That was impossible. Level 2 paralysis induces complete sensory shutdown, unless, Nevik, run a full biological scan. Now, the results were troubling. Tanner's neural activity was nearly twice what our databases predicted for humans. His adrenal response was active but controlled, suggesting not fear but heightened awareness. Most concerning, we detected unusual electrochemical signals throughout his nervous system that matched no known human baseline. "What do you want to know?" Tanner asked, sitting cross-legged on the floor of the chamber. "My favorite color? Earth's nuclear launch codes? The secret recipe for Kentucky Fried Chicken? I'm an open book." "We will ask the questions, human." Traz growled into the calm. "Tanner," he corrected with infuriating calmness. "And you are?" "No, wait, let me guess. You are the muscle." He pointed in the general direction of Traz's voice. "That one's the brains." He gestured toward where Nevik stood. "And whoever spoke first is in charge. How am I doing so far?" I felt a cold sensation in my secondary stomach. How could he possibly know our positions or roles? "The examination will begin now," I stated, trying to maintain authority. "Please lie down on the platform." Tanner sighed dramatically. "Look, I get it. You have got your alien research to do, probes and tests and all that jazz. But here's the thing, I don't consent to being your lab rat." "Consent is irrelevant," Nevik stated flatly. "We have studied 17 pre-warp species before yours. This is standard procedure. And how'd those other species work out for you? Still got them locked up somewhere?" Tanner stretched his arms above his head, revealing surprising muscle definition. Or did they all just roll over and cooperate? "The previous specimens behaved rationally," I informed him. "They understood their temporary situation and were too scared to fight back." Tanner interrupted. "Yeah, I figured. Unfortunately for you, humans don't scare easily. And I'm particularly troublesome, even for a human." Mila, who had been quietly observing, suddenly spoke up. "Lead researcher, I'm detecting anomalous readings from the containment field." "What kind of anomalies?" "Micro-fluctuations in the power distribution." As if she paused, looking confused. As if something is testing for weaknesses. I looked back at Tanner, who was now pacing the perimeter of the chamber, occasionally running his fingers along the seamless walls. "Nice setup you have got here," he commented casually. "Very clean. Sterile. Bet you think it's escape-proof too." "It is," Traz stated confidently. "That chamber could contain creatures 10 times your strength and twice your intelligence." Tanner stopped pacing and smiled again, that unsettling expression that showed too many teeth. "You know what humans are really good at?" he asked, seemingly to no one in particular. "Adaptation. Problem-solving. Turning disadvantages into advantages. It's kind of our whole thing." "Enough talk," I decided. "Nevik, initiate examination sequence 1. Non-invasive scans only for now." Various instruments descended from the ceiling of the chamber. Tanner watched them with apparent curiosity rather than fear. "Fancy toys," he remarked. "Let me guess you want to see what makes humans tick? Your cooperation is appreciated but not required," I informed him. "These scans will proceed regardless of your position or resistance." "Well, fair enough." To our surprise, Tanner lay down on the examination platform. "Just so you know, though, you really should have grabbed somebody else. A farmer, maybe. Or an accountant." The scanning beams activated, bathing him in soft blue light. "Why is that?" Mila asked, genuinely curious. Tanner chuckled. "Because until 3 years ago, I was part of a military special operations unit, the kind that specializes in escape, evasion, and turning everyday objects into weapons. Then I started my own security consulting firm. I literally get paid to break into places that claim to be unbreakable." I exchanged glances with Nevik. Was the human bluffing? A quick reference check in Earth's rudimentary information network might confirm or deny his claims, but such research wasn't part of our standard protocol. "Your personal history is irrelevant," I stated. "The examination will take approximately 3 hours in your time measurement. Then you will be provided sustenance and rest before psychological evaluation begins." "Sounds like a full day," Tanner remarked. Quick question, though, that bluish metal your ship is made of, is it sensitive to extreme temperature changes? I froze. How could he possibly know the composition of our hull? I told you, he continued, noting my silence. I was awake during most of the trip up. I saw a lot more than you think, including the fact that your security systems are primarily focused outward, not inward. It's typical oversight. Traz, I whispered, moving away from the communication system. Double the guard detail outside the containment area. Is that really necessary? She asked. He's just trying to unnerve us. Perhaps, I conceded. But something doesn't feel right. This human is too comfortable. The scanning proceeded without incident, though Tanner kept up a steady stream of questions and observations that we mostly ignored. His curiosity about our technology, biology, and social structure seemed genuine, but I suspected it was a calculated attempt to extract information. When the initial examination was complete, Nevik approached me with his findings. "Lead researcher, you need to see this," he said, his voice uncharacteristically urgent. The data was perplexing. Tanner's physical capabilities exceeded our database predictions by significant margins. His muscle density, reaction time, lung capacity, and particularly his neural efficiency were all well above what we understood to be human baseline. "Is he some kind of genetic anomaly?" I asked. Unlikely, Nevik replied. There are no signs of artificial enhancement or mutation. It appears that our understanding of human capabilities was simply flawed. That's not possible, I insisted. Our surveillance has been thorough. We have observed thousands of human activities, from their primitive sports competitions to their military training exercises. Perhaps, Mila suggested hesitantly, they are aware of being watched? Could they be concealing their true capabilities? The thought was disturbing. Pre-warp species shouldn't have the awareness or foresight for such deception. Yet as I looked back at Tanner, who was now doing what appeared to be physical exercises in his chamber, I couldn't dismiss the possibility. "What's the next step, lead researcher?" Traz asked. Before I could answer, the lights flickered briefly throughout the laboratory section. "What was that?" I demanded. Mila checked her console. "Minor power fluctuation. The system has already compensated." "Source?" "Unknown. Possibly a routine energy distribution adjustment." I didn't believe that for a second. Not with our peculiar guest and his unsettling confidence. Traz checked the containment field integrity. Nevik, secure all examination data. Mila, run a full diagnostic on all systems connected to Laboratory Section 3. As my team rushed to comply, I returned my attention to Tanner, who was now sitting calmly on the edge of the examination platform, looking directly at the observation window. "Problem with the lights?" he asked innocently. "Old spaceship, huh? Things start to break down after a while." "Our vessel is in perfect operating condition," I replied stiffly. "If you say so." He stretched his arms again. "By the way, I have been meaning to ask what's your name. Seems only fair since you know mine." "Against my better judgment," I answered. "I am lead researcher Vazik." "Vazik," he repeated, pronouncing it perfectly on the first try. "Nice to meet you." "So, Vazik, how long do you folks plan on keeping me here?" "I have got a client meeting on Thursday that I'd really hate to miss. Time is irrelevant. When we return you, no time will have passed from your perspective." "Ah, you are planning to wipe my memory and drop me back by the river. Classic alien abduction protocol." He nodded as if this confirmed something. "Just one problem with that plan, Vazik." "And what would that be?" I asked, already regretting continuing this conversation. Tanner's expression changed, the casual demeanor vanishing, replaced by something cold and calculating. "I have already sent a message." Those 6 words from the human's mouth sent a chill through all 4 of my hearts. Tanner's face had transformed from casual amusement to predatory focus in an instant. "That's impossible," I stated, though the quaver in my voice betrayed my uncertainty. "You have been under constant observation since extraction. You have no communication devices. Tanner tilted his head, that unnerving smile returning. You guys really don't understand humans at all, do you? We are resourceful. We plan ahead. And we are never, ever alone. Explain yourself, I demanded. 3 years ago, after a string of unexplained disappearances in remote areas, a few of us started to wonder if something unusual was happening. Not everyone who vanishes in the woods is killed by bears or exposure, you know. Tanner stood and began pacing again. So we developed protocols. Buddy systems with dead man switches. Emergency signals that activate automatically if we don't check in. My skin paled to a sickly yellow. You are bluffing. Am I? Check your long-range sensors, Vazik. I bet there's unusual activity around my last known location right about now. I switched to our private communication channel. Traz, verify his claim. Check for any unusual patterns near the extraction point. While Traz rushed to comply, I tried to maintain composure. Even if what you say is true, your primitive technology cannot possibly locate our vessel. We are fully cloaked and beyond your detection capabilities. Tanner shrugged. Maybe. Maybe not. But here's what's going to happen either way. Option 1. You return me, unharmed and with my memories intact, to exactly where you found me, within the next hour. Option 2. Things get really unpleasant for everyone involved. You are in no position to make demands, I snarled, my professional demeanor slipping. Lead researcher. Traz's voice came through my implant, tight with concern. There is unusual activity at the extraction site. Multiple human vehicles have converged on the area. They appear to be using scanning equipment of unexpected sophistication. My blood ran cold. This couldn't be happening. Pre-warp species shouldn't have organized response protocols for extraterrestrial contact. It violated every predictive model we had developed. Tanner, somehow sensing my distress, nodded slowly. My team is good at what they do, Vazik. Very good, and they have been preparing for this possibility for years. What exactly is it that you do, Tanner Reed? I asked, genuinely curious despite my growing alarm. Officially, I run Reed Security Consultants. We test systems, find vulnerabilities, protect high-value targets. He paused, examining his fingernails casually. Unofficially, we are the people who plan for the impossible. Alien contact was on our list. Nevik approached, datapad clutched in his trembling hands. Lead researcher, I have completed analysis of the power fluctuation. It wasn't a distribution issue. Something accessed our primary computer core for approximately 3.8 seconds. What? I whirled to face him. How is that possible? The core is isolated from all external systems. Not from the examination equipment, Mila interjected quietly. The scanners connect directly to the database to compare results in real time. The implication struck me like a physical blow. I turned back to the observation window where Tanner stood waiting, arms crossed, expression knowing. What did you do? I whispered. Insurance policy, he replied simply. While your fancy scanners were mapping my biology, I was mapping your ship. Quid pro quo. That's not possible. A human mind couldn't possibly interpret the data flow from our medical scanners, much less reverse engineer it to access our systems. Tanner tapped his temple. You mentioned my neural patterns were unusual. There's a reason for that. Some humans are different. We process information differently. See patterns where others see noise. Your scanner was practically an open book to me. Binary data is binary data. Doesn't matter if it's alien or human. The pieces fell into place with horrifying clarity. We hadn't randomly selected an average human specimen. We had somehow, against astronomical odds, captured what must be one of their most dangerous individuals. Traz, I barked into the comm, initiate emergency containment protocols. Full isolation of Chamber 3. Cut all connections to ship systems. Too late, Tanner commented, as if he could hear my orders. Your ship's already compromised. But don't worry, I'm not interested in causing harm. I just want to go home with a guarantee you folks never return." As if to punctuate his statement, the lights throughout the laboratory section flickered again, then dimmed to emergency levels. The faint hum of the ventilation system faltered momentarily. "What's happening?" I demanded. Mila's fingers flew across her console, multiple system failures cascading through the ship. Life support is unaffected, but propulsion, navigation, and weapons systems are all experiencing critical errors. "How is this possible?" Nevik whispered, fear evident in his voice. "I told you," Tanner called out, "humans are adaptable. And while your biological scanning was fascinating, I'm much more interested in your technology. Specifically, how it can be used against you." The observation window suddenly went black, cutting off our view of the chamber interior. A moment later, the security door to the laboratory hissed open. Praz burst in, weapon drawn. "The containment field is failing. I have ordered a full security team to—" A deafening alarm cut her off, the emergency lockdown protocol activating throughout the ship. Bulkheads slammed shut, sealing each section from the others. "He's isolating us," I realized aloud, "using our own security systems against us." The main view screen activated without command, displaying an external view of Earth below us. A small craft was detaching from our hull, one of our own shuttle pods. "How?" Mila gasped. "The docking bay requires command authorization." The communication system crackled to life, and Tanner's voice filled the laboratory. "Thanks for the hospitality, folks, but I think it's time I headed home." "Don't worry, I'm leaving your ship mostly functional. Life support, basic maneuvering capabilities, the essentials." "This is impossible," I muttered, watching helplessly as the shuttle descended toward Earth. No pre-warp species could possibly understand our technology quickly enough to. "I may have forgotten to mention," Tanner continued, "that those disappearances I talked about? Not all those people stayed disappeared. Some came back different, changed, with stories they were afraid to tell and knowledge they couldn't explain." The implication hit me like a physical blow. "You have encountered other species before us." Bingo. "Turns out we are not as isolated as you thought. And some of your galactic neighbors aren't as ethical about returning specimens with wiped memories. We have been learning, adapting, preparing. That's what humans do best." Wait, my mind raced. This violated every protocol, every understanding we had about pre-contact species. If humans had already been exposed to extraterrestrial technology and biology, possibly for years. "Oh, and Vazik?" Tanner's voice had lost all traces of humor. "I have left you a parting gift in your main computer. A message, encoded in a format your galactic concordat will understand. It explains, in explicit detail, why Earth is now designated as absolutely forbidden territory." The view screen changed, showing a detailed star chart of our galaxy. A large red zone appeared, encompassing Earth's solar system and a substantial area around it. "This is the human exclusion zone," Tanner explained. "Any non-human vessel entering this space without explicit permission will be considered hostile and dealt with accordingly." "You don't have the technology to enforce such a claim," Traz snarled. "Don't we?" Tanner's voice was cool, confident. "Check your long-range sensors again." Mila, hands shaking, brought up the sensor display. What I saw defied all logic. Multiple objects were emerging from concealed positions throughout Earth's solar system, asteroids that weren't asteroids, orbital stations disguised as space debris, vessels materializing from behind moons and planets. "Impossible," Nevik breathed. "They have hidden an entire defense network." "But our surveys were exactly what we wanted you to see," Tanner finished. "Humanity learned long ago that appearing weak is sometimes the best defense. While you watched our reality shows and laughed at our primitive technology, we were watching your watchers. Learning. Preparing." The shuttle carrying Tanner had now entered Earth's atmosphere, descending toward the extraction point where, according to our sensors, a substantial human presence had gathered. "Your ship's navigation system has been reprogrammed," Tanner continued. Once I'm safely on the ground, you will be automatically returned to the edge of the exclusion zone. The Concordat's Central Command will receive our full message at that time. This is an act of war, I warned, desperation making my voice harsh. Tanner's laugh echoed through the communication system. No, Vazik. This is an act of mercy. We could have destroyed your vessel, captured your crew, reverse-engineered all your technology. Instead, we are sending you home with a warning. The screen changed again, showing what appeared to be historical footage from Earth's past. Battles, wars, humans fighting against seemingly impossible odds. Surviving. Adapting. Overcoming. Humanity isn't ready for full galactic integration, Tanner acknowledged. We are still too fractured, too volatile. But we are also not the helpless primitives you thought we were. We are the species that thrives on challenge, that grows stronger through adversity. The images shifted to show incredible feats of human endurance and ingenuity, people surviving in extreme environments, overcoming physical limitations, creating solutions to seemingly impossible problems. The Concordat needs to understand something fundamental about humans, Tanner continued. We don't want conflict. We'd much rather learn and grow peacefully. But if threatened, there is no species in the known galaxy more dangerous than humanity backed into a corner. The shuttle had landed. On our sensors, I could see Tanner emerging, being greeted by a group of humans with equipment far more advanced than anything we'd observed in our surveillance. I will leave you with one final thought, Vazik, Tanner said, his voice now solemn. The first human you captured will be the last human any of you ever see unless you come in peace, as equals, when we are ready. Remember that. The communication cut off abruptly. A moment later, our ship's engines activated without command input, breaking orbit and accelerating away from Earth. Stunned silence filled the laboratory. My team looked to me for answers I didn't have. What do we do now, lead researcher? Mila finally asked, her voice small. I stared at the retreating blue planet on our view screen. We report the truth. Humanity isn't what we thought. They are not primitive or helpless. They are something else entirely. The Concordat won't believe this, Traz muttered. A pre-warp species with hidden defensive capabilities, prior extraterrestrial contact. It defies all our models. Perhaps our models were wrong, Nevik suggested quietly. Perhaps we have been underestimating what intelligence can achieve, even without advanced technology. One thing is certain, I said, watching as Earth grew smaller behind us. The Concordat's approach to pre-contact species will need complete reevaluation. If humans can achieve this level of countermeasure and adaptation, who knows what other surprises await us among the stars? 3 weeks later, I stood before the Science Council, delivering my final report on the human encounter. The chamber was packed, representatives from every member species of the Concordat present to hear firsthand about the unexpected developments on Earth. In conclusion, I stated, my voice steady despite the gravity of my words, I formally recommend that Earth be classified as a Class X protected world. With a minimum non-contact period of 500 years, humanity requires time to resolve its internal conflicts and reach a unified planetary government before any official contact is initiated. Admiral Prin, her 4 eyes blinking in rapid succession, leaned forward. And if they develop warp capability before that time, their technological progress has been accelerating exponentially. Then we welcome them as equals, I replied simply. Or we face consequences I cannot predict but deeply fear. The chamber erupted in voices, debates breaking out among the various representatives. I stood firm, remembering Tanner's final words and the look in his eyes as he departed, not hatred or anger, but determination and a strange sort of hope. The Galactic Concordat had existed for 10,000 years, encountering hundreds of species across countless worlds. We had developed protocols, procedures, and predictions for every conceivable first contact scenario. But we had never encountered anything like humanity. As I left the council chamber, I accessed my private data storage. Reviewing once more the parting gift Tanner had left in my personal files, a simple text message in perfect concordat standard. The universe is vast, Vazik. Room enough for all of us, if we choose wisdom over pride. We will be watching the stars. When you are ready to talk as equals, just ask. We will be listening. And beneath it, a phrase that needed no translation. Until then, stay out of our backyard. I smiled despite myself. The first human we captured was indeed the last one we ever saw, but somehow I suspected it wouldn't be the last we'd hear from them.